Hello and welcome back to the Common Farm Flowers channel. I'm here with Ellen of Winnow Farm Seeds, and we're going to look at their amazing seed operation here in sunny Dorset. What a gorgeous place to be growing flowers for seed. It's a brilliant story. We've got lots to tell you, and I'm sure we will find out loads and loads as we go along. Look, we're going to particularly look at these zinnias later. Yes, top tips coming up. So, Ellen, would you like to tell us a little bit about Winnow Farm Seeds and how you've started the business and why?
Yeah, so I started Winnow Farm Seeds a couple of years ago, really. That's when we started selling seeds. And yeah, we're a fully open pollinated seed supplier. We grow all of the seeds pretty much, or the vast majority of the seeds at the farm. And yeah, they're all open pollinated varieties, so it means that you can save seed from them yourself if you decide to. And yeah, a big variety, so lots of different cut flowers varieties, but then also vegetable seeds as well, which I also absolutely love. So all these tomatoes, beans, etc. But the real specialism is these cut flowers. So it's all these varieties that are really gorgeous, long stems, and really we're just trying to grow. We trial varieties really thoroughly on our farm, and we're just trying to grow varieties that are really resilient in our very wet, mild corner of the UK, which is Dorset in the southwest. So yeah, it's in some ways, you know, it's September now. Other parts of the country are starting to worry about frost, etc. For us, we're not that worried about it. We don't get these like earlier frosts, but we do get the winter wet. So I'm really passionate about growing seed for the most part outside, so the varieties get used to everything that the British climate throws at it. These like really wet summers, can be wet summers, can be wet winters, all of these things. And that's particularly the case for cut flowers, which some things are kind of borderline for our sort of climate.
And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and allow yourself to step through the low door in the wall into a world of flowers, floristry, small business, self-care, interesting books. Everything that people like you and me are interested in. And if it really tickles all your fancies, then do join my club. The link to the club membership, 350 other fun people are in there, and so on, is in the blurb to all my clips. This is where the fun starts. So can you tell us, Ellen, is it really important that we try and source seed that's locally grown? What is it about locally grown seed that matters?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, seed that's grown, how do I explain this? Seed is almost kind of a living memory that's passed down from plant to plant. So each seed holds a memory of what the parent plant experienced. And as you grow it, generation after generation, in a particular climate, those seeds become adapted to that climate, so they perform a lot better. And anyone who saves their own seed or lets things self-seed in their garden will have that experience of like, wow, those ones that I saved from, or those plants that self-seeded, have done so much better.
Yes, it's true. And that's why sometimes people say they really struggle to germinate something like a buplurum, for example. But once you've got it in your soil, you've got it forever. It loves it.
Can't get rid of it.
And that's why.
Yeah, exactly. And that happens through different mechanisms. So this kind of this plant memory, and one thing is a kind of like genetic mechanism. So the plants that we're choosing to save seed from are the most vigorous, vibrant, the ones with the characteristics like the colour of the flower that we want to carry forward. But then the other mechanism, and these kind of genetic things take time have their effect. You know, they build up over time,
Yeah.
each generation. But then there's also a kind of epigenetic effect. And my best example of that is, so a lettuce plant, if it is attacked by loads of caterpillars one year, and then you let it go to seed, save the seed from it, all of those seedlings that grow from those seeds will all express much higher levels of plant protective compounds in their leaves, because the mother plant has said, watch out,
There are
there's a lot.
caterpillars.
Exactly, there's pests around.
That's amazing.
So very, very quickly you end up with plants having that sort of, just that kind of like go-getter sort of like
I just think
yes,
that's
okay,
really clever.
I know what's going on. and so plants are amazing.
They are. And so
essentially.
with these cosmos, of course, they're being pollinated outside, so they won't come back true. But you've shown me that you've got a mix grown from this mix.
Yeah, so they're grown from the apricotta over there. Maybe we can get a little picture of that.
So the apricota is that one, and then this is what you've got.
So this is what I saved last year. I saved seed from a different patch of apricotta that we grew last year. I saved the seed from the apricotta, and this is the mix that came out of it. So it's a really interesting, some really like lovely pale pinks.
Yes.
Some sort of more intense ones. A lot of this inner frill, which
Yes.
is really beautiful.
That's like a fizzy frill,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, and then we've also got some of the kind of true apricotta that's coming through.
So this you would sell online as something like a Winnow Farm mix.
Yeah. So it will be a Winnow Farm apricotta mix or something like that. And this is my favourite.
I love that
I
dark.
think it's so, I don't know if it photographs that well, but it's like
It's almost like the cranberries, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's sort of rustier.
It's so
I think.
pretty. Yeah,
It's
very
gorgeous.
much the colour of the
Yes.
hot colour
There you
coming
go.
up.
It's
The fashion
going.
is going to be for a kind of a richer, browner colour. So
Yeah.
very good.
So I've actually isolated that plant as well, and I've done some hand pollinations just because I was so interested in that colour. I've got a few of them coming up along the row.
Yes.
So I have saved seed of that will stay true.
Oh, I might have to order some.
Yeah.
I have been ordering
Well,
your
I can just give
seed.
you some. I've just got like
I have been ordering your seed because I'm convinced that suddenly everybody, in the same way that suddenly everybody's going, I must buy locally grown flowers. I think everyone's going to say, oh, I see why I must buy locally grown seed. And so it's going to be a hot ticket.
Yeah, and I feel like seed is so often left out of the equation. Like the whole local conversation is all about the produce that you use, so that, you know, the flowers or vegetables or whatever. But people often, when they're buying seed, they just type in online.
Yes,
You know,
well, that's what I've done for years.
like cut flower seeds,
Yeah.
where to buy. But there are lots of like smaller companies around that are growing, and like me, like Vital Seeds. It's a really nice cut flower.
I think it's great because it means there's also sort of different varieties. I think we're very used to. I'll turn this. Yeah, is it true? So if we buy, I go onto any old seed website and I order Larkspur Imperials, the chances are all of the websites that supply Larkspur Imperials have got the seed from the same place.
Yeah, well, yeah, from the same wholesaler.
Yes.
Usually, yeah.
So, and it will eventually. So there are like, the really big seed growers. There are like 6 in the world. It seems counterintuitive. So we kind of go to our preferred supplier, but actually we could be buying that from anyone, and it would be the same seed.
Yeah, from the same lot. Yeah, it is a very strange situation. And the thing is that most of that seed is produced somewhere much more kind of arid and hot than the UK. So you're
because
not
then
getting that adaptation.
You're not, and you'll get, so when you sow something and hot weather comes along and it goes over in a heartbeat, that would be very convenient for the seed producer, because it means that they sow the seed, it comes up, it flowers, and quite quickly after that they're taking the seed and they can sell it. So that's convenient. But I don't want annual seeds that go over in a heartbeat. I want them to last like they would this is Dorset, this is an hour away from Common Farm. So if I'm sowing seed that's grown here, it will hopefully be as resilient as it is here at Common Farm.
Yeah,
I hope.
because it will
Yeah.
have that memory, and it will be
Oh.
And the other thing is that, like, using a small producer, you know, I'm going through these crops every day,
Yeah.
and I'm looking for small subtle differences that I'm happy about or not happy about, and then I'll remove those plants that I'm not happy with.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's grown, you know, if this whole field was filled with, you know, lupins or something for seed, no one's going through them on that level. And I think that's the big difference I see, because I bought some sweet pea seed from a very big cheap supplier, and then I bought some from a small very expensive supplier, and the contrast between, it was like almost two different varieties. The cheaper seed was all over the place, and I decided not to save a seed crop from it because it was not appropriate for what the variety is. The small seed company, English sweet peas, amazing.
It's second to none.
Amazing.
Yeah. I have ordered from the English sweet peas this winter.
So
I'm looking forward to them. They've arrived.
They are fabulous, and the attention to detail in terms of like the depth of colour, the size of the flowers, the vigorousness of the plants, tick tick tick. It's really, I think it makes a really big difference.
That's amazing. So Ellen, you don't work here alone, do you? This is a very collaborative space that you've got here, and I'm going to pan round, and in the far distance, who have we got sitting down there?
Emma and Lucy of Meadow Sweet Flowers and Floristry. So I share this field with them, and they are event florists and produce wholesale cut flowers for the Southwest Cut Flower
Growers Hub.
Thank you. And yeah, we kind of work together on all of the infrastructure. So this massive tunnel, me and Lucy put up last year.
Wow.
And skinned together as well, which was frightening. It's 40 meters long, you probably. And yeah, we work together to get all of the plants in the ground, and then we kind of take the harvest off separately. So Lucy and Emma will harvest their flowers, and I harvest my seeds sort of independently. But often we'll have one bed of flowers that they'll take a flower crop off of, and then I will have some of it for the seed as well. And that's really beneficial for this seed saving, because it means I'm growing in higher population numbers, which is really important for that genetic health.
Oh, of course, yes. You're not looking for one flower that gives you 50 seeds. You're looking for really, really healthy lots of flowers, which will give, so that the seed will give healthy lots of flowers.
Exactly.
Look at your Rebecca in the tunnel. Look, I love this. I'm always excited about what I can see through the mesh at the edge of a tunnel. Very exciting. And then you've got, and so this is your Purity Cosmos being grown on its own. Is that?
Oh no, so that's just another lot of Cosmos for flowers.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. And all good cut flower patches have a dog. Yes, you agree. Yes, it's true. It's true. So you've got masses and masses of varieties. How many do you think varieties of cut flower do you grow for seed?
For seed, I've probably got about 30 or so this year. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think.
And they don't all go on the, so you're taking your seed now, and it'll all be on the website fresh for sort of November, did you say?
Yeah, the 1st of November. Best thing is for people to sign up to my newsletter via my website, and that's when.
And then they'll get a notification.
They'll be the first to know. So.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, should we go look in the tunnel quickly before they turn the water on, and you'll show us how to take seed?
Oh yes.
So Ellen's going to give us some top tips for seed saving, and we're going to use these gorgeous zinnias, which are maybe a metre tall, up to a metre tall, which is, I'd call, a good height for cut flowers. And she said these are going to be tips which really are general tips that would suit all seed saving. So
this is a really good general tip for cut flower seed saving. Zinnias are often a bit of a tricksy one because they'll often look all brown, the kind of petals.
Yes.
But they won't necessarily be ripe, the seeds inside. So this is a really good way of seeing ripeness. And you can see, so on this one, it's not ripe at all. And you just look at that base area between where the seed head is
Yes.
and the stem.
Oh, yes.
And that's all green. But then you look on this one and it started to die off.
Yes, it's brown.
And then there you can see it's green. And that is the beginning of the mother plant saying, you've had enough. You've had all of the nutrients that you need, and I'm going to start detaching you.
I'm going to die back from the top.
Exactly, cutting off all resources to there because they are totally ripe. And then you know that's going to be great seed.
That's amazing. And then, sorry, I have to come further back. We're going to get rained on. The water's coming on. No, we might put this down on something and then we can see, because filming it's really difficult. Okay, let's do it outside. So that's the one that's not ready is on the left, that one. And the one that's ready is on the right. And so the plant will naturally die back, and then that just falls to the ground, sets seed and starts again.
Yeah, that's how it would do it naturally, but then this is the point that you can.
And then how do you do it? Do you flay that seed, or do you put that seed, the drying one, do you put that in a brown paper bag and hang it somewhere cool area and out of direct sunlight, or how do you take the seed?
So I dry in my polytunnel, and I'll dry that for maybe a week more in the polytunnel.
Yes.
So it will be really crisp, or in the barn with a fan.
Yes.
And then I'll be able to just thresh it. So usually I just wear a pair of rubber gloves or something.
Okay.
And just go like that. Or I could tread on it in boots. That works as well.
Oh, fantastic. And that's all you do for threshing?
Yeah.
You don't need to do a bit. Sorry, I'm coming back out so I get your picture. There we go.
It's kind of, heavy boots, sticks and rubber
I think
gloves.
I've seen pictures of you stomping on a dolly tub full of seed. That's it, really.
Yeah, I mean, in future we'll get a proper, like a big thresher, like a drum thresher sort of thing. But at the moment, the scale I'm doing it at, it's fine for now.
That's amazing.
It will be when I start doing large quantities of peas and beans, that will be the big deciding factor. But that will be next year. We'll see.
That'll be next year. So what are the regulations? Do you get DEFRA come and check on you? What happens, and what's the difference between growing seed for veg and seed for flowers?
Yeah, so you have to be a registered seed merchant in order to sell seed in the UK, and that's regulated by DEFRA. They come round once a year and do a kind of audit of your records. If you're also producing seed, they come up to the farm and they'll take samples of various crops. But those are pretty much just the vegetable crops. The cut flowers don't have as much regulation on them, and they're not as tightly regulated as the vegetable crops. So they come up once a year and do an inspection, usually at the same time as the audit, and they'll just go around and look to see for any particular viruses that they're worried about. And then they just want to make sure that all of my records are as they should be, and that I'm not, I don't know, secretly selling seeds that I shouldn't be or something like that.
And do you have to have plant passports for seeds?
Yeah, so that's part of when they come up and take the test, that's part of the plant passport and regulations. Sometimes you have to send samples off to be tested yourself, but for the most part they do it.
That's brilliant. So anybody can set themselves up as a seed supplier, but they just need to go through a few not too complicated hoops.
Yeah,
it's worth getting it right. It's worth not breaking the law, I think. I think small businesses often feel as though I'm a really small business and it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. But I really encourage people to behave as though they're a much bigger business. You know, obey the law, have a business bank account, do everything as if you're bigger, because then as you get bigger, it's easy. You don't have to learn more on the job.
Yeah, and you don't want to be having to put all of those systems in place while you are expanding.
No, it's boring.
Stressful.
It's stressful, and it'll get in the way of exactly.
So you want it as tight as possible, as early as possible.
That's amazing. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for inviting me over. I really had an amazing time, and I've got a load of your seed, and I'm really looking forward to growing it next year. And we'll see how we go, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
I'm going to put Ellen's website in the blurb so you can see that for the notes, and Onwards and upwards. Good luck.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.